Hello folks, George Morgan here, and I'm here to thank all of you for supporting and tuning into W1. It has been a momentous success. The viewership keeps on climbing. The subscribers, the followers keep on coming as well. The racing has been tremendous. We've got 19 points separating our entire top 5 at the moment in the league, and several different winners creeping in. Apart from pole sitters, we've had a 4 out of 4 streak from Rebecca Morel so far. What a record. Unbelievable. But folks, like I said, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for supporting the women and girls partaking in the W1 series. It's exactly what we were hoping for and dreaming of when we set out about the creation of this league. So we really appreciate your dedication and support. And I'm also pleased to announce that if you are dedicated watchers of this series and you want to get involved, we will be opening up the sign-ups window tomorrow morning. That is, of course, UK time 9 o'clock. So make sure you get involved. If you want to become part of the series, join the Discord and get involved. So, in the meantime, I'm going to leave you all to it. Like I said, Silverstone tonight. The Earl Grey of World Motorsport home to the British Grand Prix. And it will be our British race tonight at W1. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you may be in the world, and welcome back to the W1 Sim series as it takes to your screens this Thursday afternoon. And as George said just briefly before me, tonight we head to the Earl Grey of Motorsport, the Earl Grey of British Motorsport, and quite possibly where it all began. I'm talking, of course, about Silverstone, based on the old RAF circuit, now turned into what is quite possibly one of the most prestigious racetracks, not only in Europe, but in the world as well. My name's Tom Knight. Pleasure to have you alongside us all here for round 5 of the series so far. We will have Carl Paranek coming to join us in the next few moments as well. He's just on his way back from work, so do not fear. It is not just my voice you have to put up with for the next couple of hours. But as we do just await all of our women and girls to get themselves into the lobby, get themselves prepared for what will be a short qualifying session and that 26-lap race, why don't we go ahead and have a look at how our calendar looks for the rest of the season then. So as you can see, today, Silverstone round 5 on what is the 5th of February today. We then have 5 more rounds of the season. It's going to be Belgium before heading to the Temple of Speed for round number 7. We then head to the Middle East and Qatar on the 26th of February before the penultimate 2 rounds being Abu Dhabi. And of course, we head to Interlagos for round 10 of the season. Thursday, the 12th of March, we head to Brazil on one that you certainly do not want to miss, because who knows? We might have already crowned a champion by then. We might be looking to crown a champion by that point. It could all still be to play for. We will have the standings for you right about now. We can pull that up. I'm trying to remember what has mine and Carl's face on and what doesn't. But this is how the standings look after Austria. It's Lee Woodward that tops the timings, just ahead of Rebecca Morel. 76 points to her name after what is 4 consecutive pole positions here in the W1 Sim Series. Emma Clay just 3 points behind in 3rd place, with Theo King, Muller, Bull, Keeble, Nutrix, Omerod, who steps in as a full-time driver as of today, and Perkins making up the top 10 here this afternoon. The final 10 then, Mayuki Panda up to 11th place after scoring a fantastic number of points last week out on what was the comeback drive of all comeback drives, starting 16th and finishing 9th at the Austrian Grand Prix, with Nicole Matua in 12th place. Hardy, Marchi, Smith, Janda in up to 16th place. Katrina Edmonds as well in 17th place. Heather, who scored her first points last time out in Austria, with Annie Krevis, who's back on the grid as well, with Faraz Orgri, the driver that steps down to a reserve driver for this afternoon in place of Catherine Omerod. for this afternoon's racing and for the rest of the season as well. And of course, we will be able to go through the full lineup and the full track map as well slightly later on, but I can confirm, folks, that we are about to get into qualifying. We are moments away from seeing cars on track, and I can confirm there is no rain expected here in Silverstone. It is going to be at least a dry qualifying before we head in towards the race format. Do not count out that it could be a wet race, of course. Anything to play for with that lobby reset coming into its own. You're probably sick of seeing my face here, folks. Right, let's go across and check out some cars. So here we go then. The opportunity for all of our drivers to get their first runs underway. As they peel out of pit road, it is going to be the Aston Martin of Emma Clay. But peels out first, down towards the first section of corners, one of the most technical sectors of this circuit, if you exclude maybe Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, just down through that second sector. On the run up towards Luffield and Brooklands, a key overtaking opportunity here in towards these two elongated corners, the long left and the long right, that do present itself for our drivers. Of course, at the end of what will be a DRS straight in towards that long left-hander, the opportunity to try and get a move done. Unprecedented in terms of ability. All the follows coming through. It's absolutely fantastic to see all the love and support that we're getting over on Twitch. And do keep those follows coming in. If you're not yet following, first of all, look at yourself and ask yourself why you're not following, because I guarantee you do not want to miss this opportunity to follow right here, right now, because the racing, I assure you, is going to be absolutely thrilling. Of course, Emma Clay, not only a race winner here in W1, if you can remember back to Japan, but of course, multiple-time podium sitter, and of course, sits third in the standings as well. They run through Chapel Corner now, with just a Williams slightly in tow as well, up towards the long start-finish straight. That will be, I'm going to assume, Teeny, also known as Martine Smith. We'll have a quick look back, and there it is indeed, Martine Smith making her way onto the grid in second place, and everybody, as we've come to expect by now, rocking the full soft tyres. No one opting for that early Inters run, which, you know, maybe a few might have tried to do here, but there is no rain expected. Yellow flags fly as cars start to slow on down, but for Emma Clay, it's foot to the floor, and the first of the qualifying sessions is well and truly underway here as he rocket through that first corner. 287 kilometers an hour for Clay, gets the car slowed down just to 68 miles an hour, and have really nicely navigated through this first section, through Village and through the loop they go. The fast left-hander next approaching. The DRS will open on the run down towards Luffield and Brooklands. Two corners that you have to try and get right here to try and open up that back straight. What is the old pit straight? Little bit of a slide there for Clay, it looked like. You can see the rear end just wanting to step out on her. But now in towards that elongated right-hander to open up the old pit straight. Of course, infamously where Hamilton and Verstappen came together on the run down towards Copse Corner. But they'll get a little bit of a tow from their teammate here. Look up in front, it's Miss Newtrix trying to maybe come to the aid and assistance of the other Aston Martin, but pulls out of the way, gets the move done, and Emma Clay now running down towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel Corner. A series of corners that quite literally will make or break your lap here. Through the left-hander to set what will be the benchmark for all of our other drivers to try and set down. It was purple in the first sector for Lee Woodward, up in 7th place at the moment for Team McLaren. It's a purple second sector for Emma Clay as it stands. Will Woodward maybe try and steal that one away? It doesn't look like it. Purple remains with the lean green racing machine of Emma Clay. They run around what will be the penultimate corner now, in towards that final run. Can Emma Clay, and what will she set for the benchmark time? It's a 1:26.498. Let's see how everybody else maybe puts their lap together. Lee Woodward just behind, following Martine Smith, of course, up towards the line. So Martine goes second fastest. Lee Woodward goes faster overall, a 26.240 for themselves here. And that is absolutely fantastic. And that is how they want to start off this qualifying session here. And I'm so pleased to announce that we've got not just me in the box anymore, but Mr. Carl Paranik is here, everybody.
Yes, I made it. Bloody hell, we're already starting with 26s, are we? Is that the way we're going round Silverstone? Okay, I see how you're doing it, W1 Sim Series. That's some cracking times there. Not too much in it, though. Still less than a 10th. We've got the two Catherines flying on high. What a place to go to, by the way. Birthplace of Formula 1, the place of British motorsport. And at the moment, at least, it is a Brit on pole position. But will that continue?
You're absolutely right to question it. And of course, I spoke to Lee Woodward earlier in the week, and they said it's one of the circuits they not only dreamed of winning, but dreamed quite possibly of winning at. Lots of other cars still to try and set their lap times. Another Brit that is going for their flying right in towards Lufford and Brooklands. Heather, of course, Carl, scoring points last time out and looking to make what is an illustrious return to a home Grand Prix.
Couldn't agree more. Silver Arrow's driver out the exit of Luffield looks completely composed. It's no secret. She has done a couple of streams worth of practice, just getting her eye and getting used to the nooks and crannies of this Silverstone track. But as you can see, keeping it completely within track limits and keeping it cool and composed through Maggots and Beckett. All the while, you dared lift off during the first 3 parts, but it's all to set up this right-hander. And I'll tell you what, that looked like a pretty sweetly done section. Just the hanger straight to go, bit of DRS, and then that final complex before the Hamilton straight.
You're absolutely right. Round the right hand, 120 miles an hour. They carry that Mercedes-powered car up towards the penultimate 2 corners. And a kink left and then a kink right for our driver to try and navigate here this afternoon. They're looking like it's going to be a fairly solid lap time so far. Heather around the final corner. What can they put down? It's a 29.9 car, 13th fastest overall.
Not too shabby at all. Below the 130s. We'll absolutely take that. That is one barrier broken for Heather. Long may it continue. Melissa Muller has gone quite under the radar with their performances, might I say. However, not anymore. We are highlighting the maestro in the lean green machine. On board, burning the battery. Basically all the way down to near minimum. You've got to keep some in that reserve. Keep some deployment in that reserve. You can still gain that crucial 10th or so if you have enough deployment left through this final section here, the Abbey curve that kinks over to the right before the Hamilton straight. If you save that deployment, you can burn the overtake. That last little surge, Melissa Muller up to P7, and look how close it is from first down to 8th place, just on banker times. It is just over half a second between the top 8.
You're absolutely right, and it only gets closer in the top 9. You can see that. It's a second separating Miss Neutrix and Sharkstorm, who lead the table at the moment. Still opportunities to go faster for all of our drivers, of course. It's a relatively quick fire lap here, isn't it? You have the opportunity to go for 3 runs, should you wish to do so. And a driver that is going for that here this afternoon, Carl, Curious Fire, Zara, who makes her way around the final corner. Again, a relatively new driver, not only to sim racing, but to F1 as well. Comes across the line, improves by half a second.
Making leaps and bounds, might I add, is closing in on the rest of the field with every single apex she annihilates. Doing a very good job is Zara in the American Dream car on British soil. But we see loads more people going on to outlaps. Those being the 2 Catherines, Emma Clay and Jessica Ball. And I think, to reiterate the quote that you were talking about from Lee Woodward, I think they said they would take winning this Grand Prix over winning the whole championship. Which is quite a bold claim, to be honest with you. But you know what? They're in the pound seat at the moment. Pole position is theirs at the moment, but there's still 10 minutes to go. We know how quickly that track can ramp up. I'm expecting times, maybe even in those 1:25.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see maybe low 125s here this afternoon. And one person that I'm really keen to keep an eye on here, because I think she's deceived us somewhat over the last 2 weeks. We said she couldn't go 3 for 3 in terms of pole positions, and then we said she couldn't go 4 for 4 in terms of pole positions. Can she go 5 for 5? Surely not, Carl.
Oh, quite right. Speed Queen by name and by nature has been qualifying royalty. That has been her specialty, and always seems to pull that magic rabbit out of the hat at the very last moment. The number 58 in the Red Bull, Rebecca Morel, in what is quite a compressed championship at the top, despite Lee Woodward being our first multiple-time winner in this series. There is still plenty up for grabs. No real runaway at the moment as we approach the fulcrum point of the season. And Catherine Ormerod looking to try and displace Lee Woodward with 82 thousandths of a second. That is all the margin almost that she needs to muster up in order to take pole at the moment.
Exactly right. It's so close between our lead 2 drivers at the moment. Ormerod, of course, stepping into what is her full-time seat here this afternoon, taking the place of Zara Zorgui. Of course, we saw her name on the standings. We'll have a quick look at that later on as well. They do drop down to a reserve driver just because life got busy, which is very, very well known. I'm sure me, you, and everybody else around knows that feeling when you've committed something and, you know, you have just that bomb dropped from work that is busy.
I can attest to that with the latest Super qualifying turn up. But anyway, Catherine Ormerod now a full-time Silver Arrow specialist. Emma Clay goes to pole position, though, out of what feels like nowhere, with a 26.205. What does Catherine Ormeron have in the locker, though? Through the Abbey complex, in front of the adoring British crowd, onto the Hamilton straight. What's it going to be? It is a marginal improvement, but it is just not enough. Now less than a tenth of a second between the top three. We've still got Speed Queen. We've still got Catherine Thielking yet to set lap times. Their second lap of this session. Willow Keeble's out there as well. These times are going to tumble.
They certainly will. Let's keep an eye on Thielking then, heading in towards the final complex of corners. One that you just have to nail correctly, because if you get it wrong, it feels such heartbreak. Little bit of a slide there from the Visa Cash App Racing Bull. Runs up towards the line. Can she go faster? Not on this occasion, but still time left in the session to go for one final run, should she wish to do so. Eyes now switch to Speed Queen Rebecca Morel, four-time pole sitter in W1, looking to go for a fifth here this afternoon. That Red Bull Racing machine primed and ready as they head round the final corner now, up towards the line. Can Rebecca Morel do it? She absolutely can. And Speed Queen by name, Speed Queen by nature.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting lap time. Trying to make it high fives in qualifying. That is an unreal effort from Rebecca Morel. My goodness me. Sharkstorm does improve, but it's only marginal enough to take P2 back. A 10th clear is Speed Queen. That is quite the substantial margin that we've seen in qualifying. It was just half a second between our top 8. Now that margin has just expanded a little bit more. Jessica Bull, about a second and a half down on their delta as it stands. And I imagine it will be a retreat to the pit lane. But any learning is good learning here. Miss Nutrix in P9 currently a whisker away from breaking into the 26s. Muki Panda might possibly be on a flying lap, not entirely sure, but they're looking to break into those 1 minute 27. Plenty of boundaries and barriers to be broken as Muki Panda heads through the village complex and onto the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, I think just a preparatory lap here for the Papaya machinery. Oh no, they are going quicker, Carl. I may have misread the situation here. I think I saw their time as they came across the line. It was looking slow, but maybe it was a double out lap here for Mayuki Panda, who has found time in this opening section. Runs down the old pit straight now towards Copse Corner. Again, I want to say this almost about every single corner here at Silverstone. It is a corner that can make or break your lap, because the ones that are taken at high speed you have to be precise with, and the slow speed corners you have to get the traction out of the corners.
I completely concur. There is a certain intricacy, particularly in the slow stuff at Silverstone. There's a certain intricacy you've got to have. You can find your flow, particularly through Maggots and Beckett's. It just runs like clockwork, as 95 thousandths, nearly a tenth of a second, is more than enough to put Miyuki Panda into those 1 minute 27s. It's just Stowe Corner. You want to turn in as late as you possibly can. But how late do you leave it? The car is screaming for grip. And here you want to take just enough curb on the inside. Avoid the sausage curb, though, at the second attempt. Like I say, such intricacies you've got to face on, but 3/10 worth of an improvement. A substantially improved Sector 3 from Miyuki Panda puts her well into those 1 minute 27s. Now it's the turn of the lean green machine to see what she can conjure up.
We'll see what the sector split is here for Melissa Muller on the run up towards Luffield and Brooklands. Not improving this time around, so I wonder if last time around was the lap she wanted to try and set a valid lap time for. Yellow flags in the third and final set. Just a couple of cars trundling their way back to pit road, including that of Charlotte Perkins, who sits in 10th place. For the other Kick Sauber car at present, we have got, I believe, one of the Mercedes just going slowly. That is Heather just peeling into pit road as well, alongside the Ferrari. I believe that to be Carlotta Marchi down in 12th place as well. So still opportunities for our drivers. Just a quick housekeeping as to why Jen Chowski Turner is not going for not going for a run here this afternoon. They are serving a qualifying ban that is carried over from Japan, so we will not see that Racing Bull out on track for qualifying. But fear not, they will be here for the race.
Very good stuff. Well, it's good that they'll be here for race trim. And honestly, like I say, many times before in race trim, but none of these drivers want to give up. They always make it to the end of that race if they can absolutely do it. There's always learning to be had, especially here in qualifying, where the rear end of that Williams car is looking very happy indeed. That Williams in particular in question is that of Martine Smith as she makes her way down the Wellington Straight. I must say, Silverstone now a very happy hunting ground for Williams, because officially shakedown happened, and I am very happy about that. Hugging the inside of Luffield. It's a bit of a contrast. You want to take as narrow line as possible, but not so narrow that you completely compromise your momentum, because it's all a setup for this section here. Sweeping through Copse and then Maggots and Becketts.
You're absolutely right. Let's see how they can set up this section of corners. It's all important make or break corners for Martine Smith in towards Becketts through Chapel. They will run through that right-hander, which you just want to tap the apex. Give it no more and no less, but haven't found time through that second sector at the moment. Still opportunities to make as they run up towards Stowe Corner, which is now graced by the beautiful Lando stand, isn't it?
Absolutely. Adorned in neon green and everything in between. However, it's the Blue Blur making their way through the left-hander. Brooklands into Luffield, of course. Not Brooklands into Luffield. What am I thinking? It's Abbey Curve. The same thing. Across the line, it's a 20,000th improvement. Do you know what? It's not bad. Look, it's just 4 thousandths between Heather, Annie Crevice, and Martine Smith. Ridiculous gaps. However, I fear it could become more ridiculous. Let's find out what Sarah Hardy has in the locker. Is it a magic rabbit out of the hat for the second Williams car? Across the line goes said Williams, and it is a 129.7. Williams 15th and 16th, but crucially right next door to one another. I suspect, though, it's about to get very cutthroat, because those lead cars are trickling their way out of the pit lane, and Catherine Thielking is about to go for a final lap in anger.
She absolutely is indeed. First of the top, 8 cars to make it on towards their final flying lap. I'll tell you what, Lee Woodward's left it late here as they just peel out of pit road now. So they've got to put their foot to the floor and what will essentially be a qualifying run just to get back round to the line if they want to try and start a final run before that checkered flag flies. But at the moment for Thielking, heading through the loop, looking rather impressive, and the run up towards Luffield and Brooklands all important now, but no tow being offered to the Reb Racing Bull.
No advantage whatsoever. I don't know if that was Emma Clay or Miss Nutrix. Either way, Aston Martin not playing ball. It's a purple first sector by nearly 0.2 of a second worth of an improvement for the RB driver. Pretty in pink and absolutely pushing it to the limit. As through Luffield and Brooklands they went. And now Copse Corner. Do they dare to lift? You bet absolutely not. Interestingly, keeps it in 8th. Wants to have that stability, doesn't want to compromise by hitting the rev limiter. Attack Maggots and Becketts as much as possible. A tiny bit of battery saving through that first part, but it is all to save. An Alpine weaving gratuitously in the foreground. An RB sprinting onto the hanger straight in the background. And now darts through Stowe Corner at the start of the curb, turns in. Car complies beautifully here, TK. It could be a monstrous lap for the RB.
Certainly could be indeed. In towards the final section of corners now for Thielking. She stands in 5th place at the moment, rounding this final corner, looking to try and challenge for the top spot. Moves to 4th fastest and a 1/10 of a second improvement, but everybody else still has their valid attempt here. Omerod will be the next as they make their way through Stowe Corner.
Here we go, Stowe Corner indeed. Again, nice and compliant. This is the part where Thielking, the other Catherine counterpart, sort of lost her rhythm, really. It sort of became disrupted and syncopated. Here, no such problems. Mercedes is completely compliant. And Catherine Ormerod, where can she go? It's 3rd place. It's top of the 2nd row for now. But now, we await the likes of Emma Clay, who's on the hanger straight. They're 2/10 down, though, as they make their way into Stowe Corner. Not the ideal lap whatsoever. It could just be a 2-horse race for pole position here.
It certainly is looking that way. Emma Clay in towards the final complex of corners for herself in the lean green racing machine. The number 79 looking to try and challenge for pole position here. Can't quite do it. So let's focus up here to Speed Queen, who is improving by a 1/10 of a second now. Rounding that final corner, they can hear the cheers from the crowd. Rebecca Morel, can she go 4 for 4? She certainly has put her name in the ring. But the one person that can try and challenge now is Lee Woodward as they run out of Maggots, Becketts and Chapel and up towards the final few corners. Can they prevent the 5th in a row for Rebecca Morel?
Stowe Corner awaits Lee Woodward. Now it's past Lee Woodward, but they have got to have the last sector of a lifetime. The greatest driver of all time statistically, arguably. The straight that bears his name awaits. Will it be a top-billing pole position time? No, it's so incredibly close. It was so agonizingly close to the last sector of a lifetime for Lee Woodward. But it looks to be, and it will be, 5 in a row. It's high fives for Speed Queen in qualifying. Pole position, 5 on the trot. It's absolute insanity here in W1 Sim Series.
I'll tell you what, 5 of the best for Rebecca Morel. When she thought she couldn't go for 3, she proved us wrong. When we thought she couldn't go for 4, she proves us wrong. And here today at the home of Grand Prix Racing, when we thought she could not possibly get 5 pole positions in a row, well, she's proved us wrong again, hasn't she? And that is an absolutely stunning lap when it matters. Speed Queen by name, Speed Queen by nature. For the 5th time in 5 races, she'll start from the front.
Rio Harris quite rightly said it. Every time you think someone is going to get pole, there's just that magic touch from Speed Queen. And again, applies the killer blow in qualifying. Just 33 thousandths in it. But Rebecca Morel is your pole sitter for Red Bull today, with Lee Woodward also on the front row. Catherine Ormrod and Emma Clay round out the second row, with Catherine Fielking. Jessica Ball quietly made her way to P6. Well done. Willow Keeble, Melissa Muller, Miss Nutrix, and Charlotte Perkins round out the top 10. Miyuki Panda, Carlotta Marchi, Heather, Annie Crevice, the 2 Williams cars, the Curious Fire, and Jen Pashkovsky round out our grid lineup. Wow. What a qualifying session again. Good grief.
Absolutely stunning. PB as well for Jessica Ball. She is mentioned in the drivers' chat, so certainly achievements all round for all of our drivers. Absolutely stunning, hasn't it? And qualifying, I think, as much as I think some people find qualifying boring sometimes. Look at this. Look at these 5 races and tell me, are you not entertained?
But I mean, British Grand Prix qualifying, come on. It can never be a dull affair. I mean, there were 2 clear standouts, I think, at the end of the day. The only 2 drivers that made it into those 1-minute 25s. Lee Woodward and, of course, pole sitter Rebecca Morel. Rio Harris quite rightly saying, by the flags, it was a British 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes us feel very patriotic and also very proud.
Absolutely. I promise I won't start singing the national anthem at some point unless someone wins, so we'll see what happens later on in the stream. But whilst we have our inaugural lobby reset, Carl, I think roughly is about now for us to have a chat about how our driver lineup's looking. I appreciate we've seen them all on the screen already, but it's always nice to see them up on the screen so all of our people watching along at home know who to root for.
Absolutely. Well, let's start from the left-hand side, because that's where we always start. Alpine, the Endstone outfit, Willow Keeble and Annie Crevice take up the ropes there, with the Green Machine being that classic lineup of Emma Clay and Miss Nutrix. Carlotta Marchi is the lone prancing horse. Let's hope she has a spring in her step and a gallop and in the groove. The Haas is, of course, Zara Curious Fire is back again. So nice. She's done it thrice and improving all the time. It's wonderful to see. McLaren, I'll finish off with on the left-hand side, is Miyuki Panda and Lee Woodward, currently Drivers' Champion leader at the moment. However, due to how close it is, all that could change in a heartbeat.
Certainly could do indeed. Let's look at the 5 on the right then. Heather and Catherine Ormrod line up in what is now the full-time lineup for the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team. The Visa Cash App Racing Balls made up of Catherine Thielking and Jen Turner as well. And I made a promise that I'm not going to butcher their name, so I probably won't try. Rebecca Morel and Jess Ball line up for Team Red Bull, with the Kick Sauber pairing of Melissa Muller and Charlotte Perkins, with Martine Smith and Sarah Hardy lining up in Carl's favourite team, although he says he has no bias.
No bias here. I don't know what people are talking about. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why people doubt my methods. Like, honestly. No bias round here, let me tell you. No, it's a cracking lineup, honestly. It really is. I mean, like we've said many a time, it's not necessarily just about how fast people are. At the end of the day, some of them, it's their first season. They've all come here to learn, and they are learning all the time. It is excellent. Degrees of progress might be differing, but that's okay. Hey, any small level of progress is good progress, and I won't make any comments about Heather. I'm going to be a massive diplomat on her, because I know how that ended for me last week.
Yeah, I think you got not 1, but maybe 2 videos made about that, didn't you? But no, like, genuinely, it's lovely to see all of our drivers doing rather well during the course of the season. And as you say, sometimes it may be small, but progress is progress. And I think a lot of the drivers will look back at the end of the 10 race calendar and go, this is where I started. This is where I finished. And it's monumental, that jump, isn't it?
Of course, absolutely. And I'll be careful with the words I use here now, because like I say, I am a diplomat.
Hold on, Rio's giving me a big thing to read again. I'm going to have to do this in one breath.
Oh, hello.
Are we ready, everybody?
Right. Ready, TK.
Today's
Any
race is
only
going to be a tyre-saving race today. One stop is the fastest strategy. Even with the tyre saving, the pit lane is too long for the two-stop to be viable. Optimal pit window, I would say, is lap 10/11 to box from mediums to hards. Medium tyres require management from after the first lap to make it to lap 10. Hard tyres require management, nowhere near as much as the mediums, but still some needed to do the 15/16 laps on the hards. Strategies here can decide races. Sorry for the long strategy message again, TK and Carl.
You know what? Since Catherine Ormerod isn't here to be our resident Ted Kravitz or Bernie Collins or whatever it is, our resident pit lane strategist, I'm so glad you're here, Rio Harris. Thank you so much for all of the strategy input. You are quite right, by the way. Tyre saving here is critical. One stop is absolutely the fastest strategy, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. If you know you have phenomenal pace, you want to push as much as you can. But you're held back by the tyre wear, and particularly depends on driving style as well. If you're really cranking on that steering lock, if you're putting that much more abrasion through the front tyres, you are naturally going to wear them out more. Cue Will Buxton. So you do have to exercise a tiny bit of caution, particularly if you're at the front of that field. As soon as you start fighting, as soon as you start pushing the limits a little bit too quickly, those behind you can really sense an opportunity.
You're absolutely right. And one thing that I do want to point out, I need to get clarification. I have a feeling this is outlawed in the rules, but who remembers? Wet race at Silverstone, technically, can be won in the pits.
Now, there's nothing, to be quite clear, there's nothing outlawing this particular eventuality. So I absolutely... Do you know what would be absolute poetry? Is if Lee Woodward was second into the final lap and in the final corners and said, do you know what I'm going to do in this wet race? I'm going to go into the pit lane, and won the British Grand Prix from that. That would be absolute poetry. Cancel the championship. They've won the British Grand Prix.
I think Jarno might have a few stern words to say if it was allowed to keep the victory, but we'll stay out of politics, we promise. It's not one for us to try and discuss. But as we get ready for the 26 laps ahead of all our drivers, let us know in the live chat down below who you're supporting and also who you think might win this race today, or who you might think might do a good job as well, because I guarantee every single one of our 18 drivers is going to impress you here today. And just a quick look as well at our track map for today. If you don't know Silverstone, well, hello and welcome to the Northampton in the UK. One of the best circuits on the calendar, not that we're biased in any mean.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Britain, obviously, and absolutely, it's the greatest track in the world. There's no other way of putting it. You go through that first corner, Mike. There's no other first corner like it, honestly. That right-hander, full throttle. No other circuit has that, probably. And then you have the village complex, that twisting, turning bit. A bit of an overtaking chance there, but expect more of that on those DRS straights. You've got the Wellington straight and the Hangar straight being the main overtaking ballparks. Expect maybe a Banzai move or two out of the Hangar straight and out of Stowe into that final complex before the Hamilton straight, maybe, if someone is feeling particularly like they're in the move and on the groove, or maybe a bit of desperation creeps in. It is such an iconic track, such a track with British beauty. I promise we're not biased. My language I'm using is absolutely appropriate, but it's gonna be an enthralling spectacle. It really is. We love Silverstone.
It certainly is, indeed. Rio Harris has given us more information as well, as has F1 Addict as well, and it's fantastic. We've got some early predictions coming in, though. Rio says Charlotte Perkins is going to win. Not Skovkonj. I apologise if I've pronounced your name wrong. It's a trend at this point. They think Emma Clay's going to win, or supporting Emma Clay, but I think Speed Queen's going to get her first win of the season. Design AMK, Miss Nutrix, aka Sana Banana, top 10 easy. We'll see what happens. F1 Addicts, I'm rooting for Charlie. Firmly believe top 9 is possible. And the gaming writer NL, currently watching for Miss Nutrix, Heather, Mayuki Panda. These are also my 3 POV streams / next to the main broadcast. That's what we love to see, that the drivers that do stream, obviously there's quite a few of them in the league and in this lobby at the moment. So if you are watching, multi-twitch it, people. Watch everybody at once.
Couldn't agree more with you. And speaking of, not multi-twitching, but on the social media waves, certain Emma Clay uploaded her first YouTube the other day, rather, over at Austria in W1 Sim Series. Go check it out. Go subscribe. You know what to do. But loads of people getting involved, loads of people showcasing their points of view, how they viewed the race, what the progress they've made, and all. Absolutely excellent. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to call it.
Ooh.
Whoever gets points. Watch this space.
I think that's a very solid prediction. I'm going to flip it slightly on its head. I'm going to go for points, but I think Curious Fire is going to score her first point of the season.
I like that. I like that prediction. You know what? Third time's the charm. It'd be appropriate to get those points on the board. Rio Harris is asking, who we think will win. Oh my gosh. Well, I'll throw my hat in the ring. I'm going to say Rebecca Morel. I think, come on, 5 pole positions. Surely, it's got to end at some point. 100% pole positions so far this season. Surely a win has got to come out of that. There's only so many statistics to do.
I think there's 2 drivers in my head. Like, I agree with what you've said, right? I think Morel will get a win at some point this season. I'm going to say, for me, it's either Clay or Theo King that are going to get a race win. It'll either be double trouble for Clay or be a first race win for Theo King, and they're my predictions.
Good shout. Theo King has had... I've talked about it quite a lot, to be fair, but Theo King's race pace is absolutely... It's almost ridiculous, quite frankly. I mean, once it got to the wet weather in Austria, she did have the older tyres. But she somehow managed to save the hard tyres all the way to that point, which was excellent. Rebecca Morel did some wizardry on her mediums, and I'm not going to comment about it because I think there was some dark arts being dealt with. But outside of that particular Hogwarts wizardry, Theo King's race pace is absolutely ridiculous. We know Emma Clay can be up there. We know Lee Woodward is most definitely going to be up there. But pressure you put on yourself is winning that British Grand Prix when it's of that magnitude. Is that just a bit too much pressure? We'll have to find out.
We certainly will we will find out as well over 26 laps. And one thing we haven't mentioned in the first 4 rounds, so please don't hate us, but check out Sim Racing Centre. They've so kindly partnered with us for this opening season of W1. Go check them out. They've given setups, I believe, to all the drivers as well. So they are absolutely behind the league and absolutely fantastic. They're spotting. You can check it out in the Twitch chat there. You can go get some setups and strategies, and they are probably some of the best in the business, aren't they?
Couldn't agree more with you. Honestly, not to be a complete shill, but I've used Sim Racing Centre's setups over F125. I have used a couple of them. Every single time without fail, they have felt super glued to the track. Every single time they've given me given me consistency throughout race stints, through qualifying, whatever it might be. They are absolutely excellent. We implore you, do please go check them out. And also because they've partnered us this very first series. Shout outs to you.
Absolutely massive. And Miss F1, of course, SRC representative, is in the chat, as she always is. Absolutely lovely person to get to know. Met her twice now at Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund, 2 years in a row. She hasn't got sick of me yet, so we'll see how far I can push my luck. But we're almost ready to race, everybody. That 2-minute countdown that our drivers have to apply their setups and their strategies is nearly upon us. And we head for the formation lap as we get ready to go racing. 26 tours of the Silverstone circuit. And what 26 tours we're about to endure. Carl, I'm going to say right off the line, of course, we have Speed Queen starting from pole. Will she be leading at the end of the first lap?
I'll say she is. In this case, I'll say she will be, but you never know. Silverstone tends to be a tricky miss at the start, so we'll find out. See what happens. If anyone's feeling adventurous into Village, well, we'll find that out. Maybe to Rebecca Morel's detriment, but if she keeps track position at the end of the first lap, that's what she failed to do at Austria. Ultimately, race trim has been her ultimate Achilles heel. It could all change today. Like I say, there's only so many times someone gets pole position before they do end up at the sharp end. Surely it has to be.
Well, you certainly like to think so, but we are getting ready. Formation lap is underway, everybody, here at Silverstone. As we said, Speed Queen Rebecca Morel leads us away from the front of the grid. The number 58, as she's done on 4 previous occasions, lines up on pole position.
Pole position, but not by much. 33 thousandths compared to Lee Woodward, our only multiple-time winner this season so far. Could try and make it 3 of the best to make them pay, and what a way to make it the very best than at the British Grand Prix. As again, our resident Bernie Collins, Rio Harris, as in 2 of the last 4 IRL British Grand Prix, the person starting P2 has jumped P1 on the grid into turn number 1. So clean side of the grid might not necessarily be the play that pole position would be hoping for. Speaking of plays, how about tyres? Well, I'd predict that everybody pretty much has gone mediums and or hards, apart from one, and it's the Williams. Shout outs to them for doing something different on the soft compound tyres, going for that ultimate pace. That is pretty much confining them to a 2-stop, but regardless, they will be putting down phenomenal pace in those first couple of laps.
You are absolutely right. And Jen, of course, after serving that qualifying ban, will line up at the back of the grid. She's opted for the harder tyres. And one looking to go longer into the stint. Curious Fire also on the medium. So we've got a softener medium in 16th and 17th respectively. So we are maybe going to see some early moves from those drivers with the majority of the field, as you said, on that medium tyre. But Rebecca Morel and Lee Woodward, both of our drivers on the front row, they've opted for the harder tyre here, Carl. They're going to have to play the defensive game very, very early on.
Or indeed, again, it's all about holding that track position. If they can hold it and use the dirty air to disrupt the flow of the cars behind, they'll have the overall longevity. The pace differential in race trim can be neutralised just a little bit, but it all depends on keeping those cars behind in the dirty air, as 1 and 2 practically going for a show run towards their starting positions on the grid. Rebecca Morel overshoots her grid spot. That is not ideal. However, Lee Woodward parks it up all okay. We wait for Curious Fire and Jen Paszkowski to line up. And then, well, strap yourselves in. We're going home. It's time for some beautiful British motorsport.
It absolutely is. The weather shining down here. It's a lovely 25 degrees in the air and 5 lights being lit here in Silverstone. And the lights go out, and we go racing at the home of Grand Prix racing. And look at this, Lee Woodward with an amazing pull off the line. Emma Clay as well, immediately towards the inside of the first corner, demotes our pole sitter Rebecca Morel down to 3rd place. And Lee Woodward, as they've done so many times before, takes the lead before we're out of the first sector. Curious Fire could not get off the line here, Carl, and has been disqualified from the session.
That is absolutely devastating, but an interstellar start from Emma Clay, putting that medium rubber to great use. It's Willow Keeble, though, who looks to be on the move, side by side in a dicey duel with Melissa Muller. The Alpine driver wins it out, looking to use the outside line to gain momentum on the Red Bull of Jessica Bull up ahead. Now Charlotte Perkins can try and get to work on her teammate, though. Towards Copse Corner they go. We've seen this one before. Round the outside, the kicked Saubers look to go side by side. Quickly, that battle is put to rest. It's Catherine Thielking, though, who seems to have really dropped anchor on those hard compound tyres, down to P9 at the start.
Absolutely not the way they'd like to see this race starting, but of course starting on that harder tyres sometimes has consequences, so to speak, and that is one of them, dropping down the order until you can get the tyres fired up. But look at Emma Clay already trying to make moves on our race leader, Lee Woodward, in towards this final section of corners. Rebecca Morel, our pole sitter, still sat in 3rd, Omerod in 4th, Ball in 5th, and the 2 kick Saubers once again going at it in towards this penultimate section of corners, and this time Melissa Muller holding up top spot. We got Teeny as well. That's Martine Smith getting the better of Annie Crevice through the final corner.
Great job by the Williams driver. Emma Clay is hounding Lee Woodward, the Papaya Pro. Well, they would have hoped for an easy avenue to victory at the British Grand Prix. It's the one they have been crying out for. But Emma Clay proclaims absolutely not. DRS. ERS to burn down the Wellington straight, albeit it's just a run too short. Already the recharge happens and the Aston Martin has to consign themselves to P2 for the moment. But you can see how much of the grip advantage the mediums have. Emma Clay, despite the dirty air, able to navigate and take those tighter lines visibly compared to Lee Woodward in the McLaren. So that dirty air advantage, that tyre offset advantage, just not coming into play at the moment. Emma Clay has to stay close. It's a side-by-side battle, potentially, in towards Copse Corner, though. Annie Crevice versus the Williams, and the Alpine does move on through, not without contact, though. And that is front wing damage for the Williams driver.
It absolutely is. Teeny Martine Smith suffering the first bout of damage that we've seen here at Silverstone. Of course, started on the hard tyre as well, so that is a strategy choice that is unoptimal, to say the least. But Cutie Buddy, let's just point her out for a minute. Started 16th on the soft tyres already, up to 12th and looking to make more positions as this is Heather trying to go from even Carlotta Marchi as well, further back, looking to go down the inside in towards Stowe Corner. Couldn't quite get it on this occasion, and the battles are starting to heat up already. The Ferrari this time looks the inside. That was surely a day late and a dollar short, but both cars still pointing in the correct direction, and Marchi still on the tailpipes of the Williams.
Got Jen Paszkowski as well with a bucket of popcorn in case this cinematic spectacle explodes into life once again. On board with the RB driver, just watching and waiting as they head into the village complex, again through the Wellington Straight, go the leading few. Catherine Ormerod, close enough to potentially think about making a move according to the Delta, has to consign herself once again to P4. Looks for the alternate line through Luffield, but track position is pivotal round this track, more than almost any other track in some ways. It's such a juxtaposition compared to some of the places we've been to. Carlotta Marchi finally gets the driver in question, though, up to P15, displaces the damaged Williams for that 15th place.
You say that, but it looks like the Williams could have a good run here in towards Stowe Corner. They've fallen off the back of the pack somewhat, but the opportunity is still maybe waiting to line itself up. We can tell that wing damage from the Williams, just not helping it through the high-speed section of corners. Keep an eye on Willow Keeble, though. They're trying to line up a move here, potentially on Jess Ball in towards Stowe Corner, and the Alpine starting to get fired up here.
This is what some of the drivers will be hoping for, just that some of the leaders can be disconnected from this very hungry Caterpillar for the lead. As you can see, Emma Clay already struggling to keep up with Lee Woodward. It's only been 4 laps of the British Grand Prix, but that is how aggressive the tyre wear on the mediums is. We're hearing as well absolutely devastating news from the Haas camp that Zara's clutch actually failed. She couldn't even start the race today.
That is heartbreak, absolute heartbreak, especially when you've practiced all week or got the practice in for what is a league race and then you have an equipment failure right at the final moment. It absolutely heartbreaking. We send our condolences out to Zara as well, because it's just one of those incidents where you can't really feel better about it because you know that it was not your fault in the slightest.
Exactly, I could not agree more with you. We see manoeuvres happening though. Miss Nutrix in the green machine versus Miyuki Panda, but round goes Miss Nutrix. I couldn't quite see from the angle if there was contact, or she just dropped it on the exit and completely blazed the rear tyres. It's no consolation, whatever the case. Down a couple of places to P13, and Heather could even spring a surprise towards Copse Corner. She's right in the thick of the action.
She absolutely is, and now got 2 fresh victims stood in front of her by the names of Miss Nutrix and Annie Crevice, looking to score some good points here this afternoon. Little bit of nerves, I think, heading through Stowe Corner, because we know how easy it is to lose the car through those high-speed sections, and I think at this moment they just want to get the car home, get the car to the end of the 26 laps, and that's a very smart choice.
I couldn't agree more. It could even be a war of attrition, to be honest with you, as more drivers push the limits of the tyre wear. We saw Emma Clay get a puncher at Austria. It's not Emma Clay, but it is her teammate, though, already looking to make up for lost ground. And through Stowe Corner, they do just that. Down the inside, it's an academic move from Miss Nutrix.
Absolutely stunning so far for Miss Nutrix. She might have fallen down the order slightly at race start, but wanting to try and pick these these positions up nice and early. Might have been a mistake there. A little bit of contact between the Williams and the Racing Ball for Jen and Martine Smith, as there's, I think, a little bit more wing damage on that Williams car, but both cars still pointing the right direction. Keep an eye on Melissa Muller as they run in towards Luffield, and Brooke has thought about a move there on Willow Keeble towards the inside. Didn't quite go for full commitment, but I think we're going to start to see that move being lined up here down the old pit straight, because Jess Ball as well could be a bit of a sitting duck without DRS.
It's such a horrible domino effect, particularly from a psychological perspective. As a driver, when you know that you have the battery, you have the potential to make the move stick early on, but then you have the other double-edged sword as Willow Keeble goes, well, wider towards the Thames than the apex of Copse Corner in that particular case. But it's that double-edged sword of going for the move and then losing the DRS potentially, becoming a sitting duck yourself, or getting that track position, then you have the advantage and then you can go on the attack yourself. That's what Melissa Muller's got to deal with. Willow Keeble, though, says that was one warning sign too many. Down the inside of Jessica Ball goes the Alpine driver, and that finally is clear and up into P5.
Certainly is, but not out of the danger zone quite yet. Both kick Albers, Perkins and Muller still looking to try and claim, as well as Catherine Thielking, who's right on the tail of these 4 or 5 drivers at the moment. We saw him move further back as well. I believe that was Heather getting past Annie Crevice for 13th place. Of course, the position she finished last time out in Austria as well. But these battles are starting to get a little bit feisty, but keep an eye here, Carl. Emma Clay out of DRS, potentially just manages to hold on to the DRS of Lee Woodward in front.
Clinging on by the skin of her teeth is Emma Clay as those mediums just continue to feel worse and worse. The abrasion becomes even more aggressive. Charlotte Perkins, though, has a moment out of the village complex on the grass at the Wellington Straight. That's released Catherine Thielking at least up 1 position. But heartbreak for the Kick Sauber driver, who seems to have been relentless in race pace. Think back to Bahrain not too long ago. Those mediums only 40% worn on the front left. That's the highest tyre wear. But even so, the struggles are being felt up and down the grid.
Certainly are indeed. Thankfully, no major damage for the Kick Sauber. They are able to continue on during this race, and we are on lap 6 of 26, expecting those medium tyre runners to probably head in towards the pit road in the next 2 to 3 laps, if not sooner here, Carl. We'll keep an eye and see what Emma Clay does here, if she's going to opt for another lap along with Rebecca Morel. Of course, 1 and 3 in terms of positions are on those harder tyres. The mediums, well and truly not the better race tyre as it stands. Miss Nutrix getting past Cutie Bunny, my apologies. That's Sarah Hardy on the run up towards Stoke Corner. That's a professional move.
It's a professional move indeed, and on those soft tyres, I wouldn't be surprised if the Williams peels into the pits at the end of this lap. The delightful dogfight between Annie Crevis and Heather continues. Annie Crevis leads the line on that one, but Heather will be sure to retaliate and respond. Speed Queen is piling on the pressure on Emma Clay. Meanwhile, here's the replay on lap number 4. We've got a lovely helicopter shot here, and it is Miyuki Panda and Miss Nutrix. We're watching to see if there was contact. No, Miss Nutrix drops it by herself. So maybe just getting a bit trigger happy on the exit. And, well, time was of the essence to try and get through on the medium shod runner. In this case, it was just one move too many.
Certainly was indeed. Emma Clay now well and truly out of DRS of our race leader, and I think Rebecca Morella's got a decision on her hands. Does she try and stick with Clay? Does she try and use the DRS and the Aston Martin in front? Or does she go for that move and opt to try and push towards Lee Woodward, who still leads this race? 1.2, now 1.3 seconds between Woodward and Clay. Papaya Machinery versus Lean Green Racing Machine. For Emma Clay in second.
Going to be an academic move for Rebecca Morel. Speed Queen by name, Speed Queen by nature. And in a blaze of glory, it's up to P2. But now they've got the other monumental task of getting back that DRS to Lee Woodward. I don't think they'll have much of a threat from the two medium runners behind. Catherine Ormerod now can try and start piling on the pressure. But the medium runners just have to be a little bit careful now. They want to try and extend this. Lap number 9, maybe even lap number 10. So they can guarantee that the hard compound tyres will make that one stop. Charlotte Perkins, making some progress, is making marvellous manoeuvres through on Miyuki Panda, and the dogfight between Annie Crevis and Heather continues. Now the Silver Arrows driver goes through to steal back P13 on the road. Oh my goodness, more moves being made. I'm not going to be let off the hook anytime soon. Catherine Field-King going for that unorthodox move into Village, it feels like. Hardly anyone has taken up the mantle, but the RB driver on those hard tyres senses an opportunity, and surely it is brewing in a matter of moments' time.
Certainly is indeed. Everybody in front of Theo King here, all the way up to Speed Queen, are on the medium tyres. Their lifespan is limited here at Silverstone. They know they have to pit within the next 2 or 3 laps. The question is, how much longevity are they going to get out of this Pirelli rubber? The question will be answered in the next few laps, but Theo King knows she's also on a bit of a ticking clock herself. She has to try and regain the time up towards what is now the front 2. The only other drivers in the top 10 that are on that hard tyre to start. Otherwise, she's going to be left in somewhat no man's land.
Absolutely. Well, here comes critical manoeuvre number 1. Mission critical, in fact, for the RB driver, burning the battery. But no, it's going to be the Kick Sauber driver that tries to make mincemeat of the Red Bull. Jessica Ball, with her mounts of experience that she has gained in league racing over time, holds it round the outside to have the inside line. And it is a delightful defence from the Red Bull driver as Theo King loses it on the exit once again. That last sector is just not her friend today whatsoever.
Not in the slightest. It's so easy just to get a little bit trigger happy on the throttle. You want to try and press that pedal down as quick as you possibly can. And look at that, out of nowhere, Catherine Thielking catching Melissa Muller by surprise and closing the door almost immediately as the Racing Ball tries to recover and maintain 7th place. And with the DRS run up towards Luffield and Brooklands, there is another opportunity here to try and get the move done. Melissa Muller is not one to let this go, and they will try and chase down, but the question is going to be tyres. How much is left in that medium rubber on the Kick Sauber?
Exactly right, but mission critical manoeuvre number 1 is complete. And now it's time for mission number 2 dispatch of Jessica Ball, of course. Just play the patient game, wait for that DRS. That is the critical thing. The top 3 is a bit more spread out. Speed Queen is gaining on Lee Woodward. It's not by much, it's just a 10th here and there, but there is gains to be found. Emma Clay and Catherine Ormerod just running their own little race in P3 and 4. There's no threat for them behind, but they've got to extend those tyres as much as possible. They could blink any time from now to the end of lap number 11, depending on how hard they've pushed. And no, the first 2 medium runners on the road don't blink at the moment. Catherine Fielking, though, mission critical manoeuvre number 2. So nice, she's done it twice in the same lap. 2 overtakes up into P6.
Absolutely stellar work from Fielking, now using the tyres to her advantage, and she'll have to try and chase down Willow Keeble. Just over 2 seconds in front of this championship, well, this fight protagonist at the moment. And it's Fielking on a recovery drive of recovery drives. And as you said, Ormerod and Clay having a battle in amongst themselves here for 3rd and 4th on circuit. Both of them on medium tyres. We can have a brief look into the tyre condition of Emma Clay's cars and Annie Crevice, Cutie Bunny Sarah Hardy in towards pit road. The first of the drivers, along with Carlotta Marchi in 15th place. I was going to have a quick look at how the tyres are doing. And oh my goodness, Emma Clay loves running the tyres long, doesn't she?
Really does. 70% on the front left. Not in puncture territory, still has a decent little way to go, but just has to not be dragged into pushing the car more than she needs to. That creeps up to 71% and more by the time we get to the end of the lap. Catherine Ormerod, though, look at this. 58% on the rear left. She has done some supreme work in managing those tyres, and she can go a couple of laps longer. She can push those hard tyres right to the end of this race.
She can, and she knows she's now got the advantage. Almost certainly Ormerod has been just whispering and praying to those front tyres as both of them peel in. They are opting for the same strategy here as Melissa Muller gets the better of Jess Ball as well for 7th place. But let's have a look and see what tyres Clay and Ormerod decide to put onto their machinery. And as we were saying earlier, it's probably one of the longest pit roads in this season's calendar as Muller gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The first of the drivers to fall victim to the pit lane speed limiter.
First class heartbreak at the Heartbreak Hotel after all the work they had done. The dispatch of the Red Bull driver. It's going to be a sinking feeling and a waiting game potentially at their pit stop. No, Sauber crew get to work. It is a 10-second penalty though that will loom over the head of Melissa Muller. Order stays the same between provisional 3 and 4. Emma Clay ahead of Catherine Ormerod. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that Catherine Ormerod has gone in at the same time as Emma Clay. If they have realised that their tyre wear advantage is that much more significant, then by the end of the race, they can still make those manoeuvres. Someone who is making manoeuvres, though, is Catherine Thielking. Loving life on the hard tyres. Next piece of prey to gobble up, it's Willow Keeble.
It absolutely is. Keeble, of course, on the medium tyres, so still an opportunity, or still awaiting the Alpine to head in towards pit road to get a fresh set of rubber on towards their car. The likes of Nutrix and Panda also on medium tyres, as Nutrix gets the better of Panda there. I stand corrected. Nutrix on the harder tyre. It's Panda and Perkins on the mediums to see the first half of this race out so far. And Thielking's already dispatched Willow Keeble. A very clean and cut move for the Racing Bull car. And I think the Alpine is probably going to dive into the pits this lap, and as they do.
It's a good no for the RB driver. Now has plenty of clear air just to put on and activate the afterburners. Exactly what they need in this race. Speed Queen, though, getting tantalisingly close to DRS. Lee Woodward wanted it all their own way in terms of winning the British Grand Prix and having a fabulous fairy tale. Speed Queen by name and by nature, though. She's been brewing it up for a while. A race winner's eluded her for so long. Could today be the day? She was just within DRS.
If it comes today, it'll be a royal awakening for Speed Queen, of course. 5 pole positions in a row, looking to go for her first Lightster flag in the W1 Sim Series. And now, within touching distance of our race leader, Lee Woodward. Of course, 9/10 of a second will be able to get that rear wing open. And an inverse of where they both started on the grid. Woodward starting second, Speed Queen starting first. And an opportunity still to try and persevere through this race. Of course, we still might see a safety car. There's still an opportunity for Bert Mailander, I believe, to make his first appearance ever in the series.
I believe, was it Japan?
No, Japan.
Japan was. It was only the one time that he's made the appearance, though. It was a VSC in Australia at the first round, and then Bernd Mailander making his well, his show-stopping performance in Japan, for lack of a better term. But since then, it's been pretty quiet in Safety Car Town. Nothing since then. That, of course, could all change. We've had a 50% success rate on safety cars. And, well, what a job it would do for these two. Lee Woodward, Speed Queen, now firmly placed within DRS here at the fulcrum point of the British Grand Prix. And two British drivers are going to be duking it out for P1. Hard tyres should be running to about lap 15, maybe lap 16. But goodness me, we've got to watch out for those hard tyre runners. Emma Clay and Catherine Ormerod will be gaining maybe multiple seconds a lap with those new tyres. It's going to be an astronomical advantage they have.
You're absolutely right. Let's keep an eye on the drivers behind that have pitted. The first of those being Emma Clay, as you so rightly said. Omerod and Muller, Willow Keeble, Jess Ball, all the way down to Mayuki Panda. All of those drivers have opted for brand new tyres. Jen Chowski and Teeny, also known as Martine Smith, the two drivers in the bottom. Well, everyone below 5th place. They're the only two drivers that are yet to pit here this afternoon, with the exclusion of this top 4. Woodward, Morel, Theo King and Nutrix. They all started life on the hard tyres and will have to make one pit stop before the end of the race. But our net race leader, if you want to call her that, Emma Clay, who stands in 5th place, has made that mandatory pit stop.
Absolutely. Here they are. P5 on the road almost has their teammate firmly in their crosshairs, and a piece of lap traffic in the form of Carlotta Marchi in the Ferrari. So maybe a delightful dose of DRS as well to assist Emma Clay on her way towards the top of the table with no delay. How many times can I rhyme with Emma Clay, you say? Well, listen, that's an opinion I don't want to sway. So let's move on. It's out of Maggotts and Beckett's we go. And DRS is in fact activated for the Aston Martin driver. So a neat helping hand there from their neighbours over at the Prancing Horse.
Carl, so many rhyming rhythmics. We have got a retirement safety car, everybody! For the second time in the W1 Sim Series, as I tried to say something funny, got rudely interrupted by Bert Mylander. Unfortunately, Charlotte Perkins has found the wall by the looks of things. I think they just dropped it through that middle sector.
This isn't too bad, though. I thought it was going to be real Heartbreak Hotel for Emma Clay and Catherine Ormerod, but the leaders are well past the safety car already. As Jess Ball leads the session, that is less than ideal. However, it is during a safety car, so that might actually be blushes spared for the Red Bull driver. That is good news. But, like I was saying, leaders have passed that safety car, so for the likes of Emma Clay and Catherine Ormerod, there is a chance they get into pit row. As Rio Harris quite rightly says, Charlotte has crashed at Copse Corner, the Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton blockbuster, as I like to call it. But Lee Woodward, Speed Queen, Catherine Fielking, free pit stop, no problems at all. The question is, what other tyres did Emma Clay and Catherine Ormerod bring to Silverstone as Jen Paszkowski gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane?
It's certainly a day that's gone from bad to worse for many of our drivers. Melissa Muller, Jen Chowski, Sarah Hardy and Martine Smith. All of those drivers opting to box under these safety car conditions. And Lee Woodward just heading up towards pit road now, opting to go for their mandatory pit stop, as is Rebecca Morel. The pits could not have come at a better time for these drivers to just bolt on a set of the mediums and just nurse them through this safety car period until we then go full attack mode on roughly, in my imagination sounds correct, probably lap 17 here.
Just taking it at a canter into the pit lane was Lee Woodward and Speed Queen. No real surprise there. The Delta can play a very, very tricky game on our lead lot, but in this case, no problems whatsoever. The top 3 in without any Delta Gremlins going their way. Also, did we miss... How's Carlotta Marchi been disqualified? What's happened there?
That's a very good question, and I have no idea. I must have missed that, as Cutie Bunny retires from 15th. Whoa, what is happening? Oh, hold on, I might have found out. Oh. I think I found the answer, everybody.
This is why we didn't let Bernd Mylander back, ladies and gentlemen. There's no front wing on the Williams. That's not good. Lee Woodward approaches Bernd Mylander, who now does go up to an appropriate speed, but for at least two of our drivers, that has been absolutely horrendous in terms of the context of their race. Cutie Bunny out of the session. Carlotta Marchi disqualified from this Grand Prix. We've got the other Williams without a front wing. When will it end?
suboptimal, I think, is the word that you could use to sum up this so far for some of the drivers. We're being told Carlotta got stuck in the gravel into Vale, which is what led to the Ferrari's disqualification from the race, and Tini just going for the new and improved aerodynamic version of that Williams Formula 1 car, opting to go for minimal downforce. It's the Monza setup or so, I've been told.
I'll tell you what, I've commentated on a lot of league races on F1 25. I knew getting stuck in the gravel was a thing, but I've never seen someone go out of the race because of it. Carlotta Marchi becomes, I think, the first driver ever to be disqualified for being stuck in the gravel. Quite unbelievable. Like I say, first time for everything. W1, you don't disappoint. But everybody else lines up kindly behind the safety car, and now it's all about invigorating some warmth into the tyres. Catherine Ormerod, interestingly, stays out on those hard compound tyres. Emma Clay did bail and box 4 new tyres, and she went for a new set of medium compound tyres. So she'll have the tyre advantage, but she'll be 4th out of those on new mediums. Jessica Ball, I don't know if she chose to go onto soft tyres, but that is what's happened. She is on soft compound tyres. We'll soon find out, though, whether that was an inspired decision or whether it was game gremlins, and I think that answers my question quite quickly.
I think it absolutely does. And Ashley Editor coming into the chat saying everybody that's out has a name beginning with C. You know what? She's right. And that hurts that she's right, because that is poetic.
That is very poetic. But in comforting news for our 14 that are left, they all don't begin with a C. So they might be safe. Might. It's not foolproof. However, in other news, in rather more positive news for them as well, everybody that now finishes this race scores points.
That is true.
There is all the more reason to get to the end of this British Grand Prix today.
You know what we could do? We could have a reminder of how the points stand as we head into this race. Let's do that. Let's have a look, because we've got a brief moment under safety car. Let's have a reminder of how the standings look very, very quickly. Because all of our drivers that finish today will at least score 1 point. Well, they'll score at least 2 points, won't they?
Indeed they will. Lee Woodward, the head of the queue so far. Only 3 points in it, though, between them and Rebecca Morel, who wins the British Grand Prix, could well take the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Emma Clay in P3 with Catherine Thielking, not far behind in 4th, with Melissa Muller in 5th. Jessica Ball, Willow Keeble, Miss Nutrick, Catherine Ormerod, and Charlotte Perkins round out our top 10 for the time being.
Absolutely right. And of course, 11th through 20th, Mayuki Panda, Nicole Matua, Sarah Hardy, Carlotta Marchi, Martine Smith, Melanie Jander, Katrine Edmonds, Heather, Annie Crevice, and Farah Zorgui as well. Those are the drivers in the top 20 of the Drivers' Championship, and who knows, it might all change as we head at the exit of Silverstone here today. But Mylander just making his way through Chapel Corner with Lee Woodward in the lead of this race. Speed Queen, who has achieved today 5 pole positions from 5 pole position attempts, in second place, with Catherine Ormerod and Catherine Thielking making it a Henry VIII's favourite lineup in 3rd and 4th. With Willow Keeble in 5th, Emma Clay, Nutrix, Panda, Muller, and Ball in the top 10.
They're not getting divorced from their tyres today.
Very
Through
true.
the Abbey complex, we go. For the 16th time this race, Bernd Mylander opting to stay out for 1 more lap. So Jen Paszkowski and Heather can catch up to the back of the queue. Desperately unlucky for some, this safety car. In the case of Jessica Ball disconnecting and having soft tyres strapped onto the car, suboptimal. Emma Clay, who had gone for that strategy for the mediums and the hards, and then the safety car ruined their day. Or the Williams here of Teeny. That in question is Martine Smith, who lost their front wing, I presume, with damage, slowing down for that safety car. That was literally just stopped on the track, minding its random business. So desperately unlucky for them. Desperately unlucky for Heather as well, who was running with Annie Crevice. Is now going to be a couple of places behind because they had to pit again under this safety car.
Yeah, and props as well to Mayuki Panda, whose race has again gone somewhat under the radar. We saw something similar at Austria. She started 16th, finished 9th overall, but again, proving safe, started 11th, now up into 8th position, and on a good set of tyres to see this race out. She's on 5-lap-old hard tyres, so should we see that crossover come so aggressively as we did at race start? Who knows, the hard tyres could certainly be one to be able to take this to a race end. We are just waiting on the final 2 cars to catch up to the back of the pack. They will be Jen Chowski and Heather, as all 14 cars get ready to go racing. And would we expect here, Carl? We go ready to racing on lap 18. We'll have 7 laps to see this race out.
Indeed we will,
Oh,
and a delightful dogfight, a set of dogfights await us here at the British Grand Prix. But we have Charlotte Perkins in the chat. Hello, Charlotte Perkins. Very sorry about your race. She says that it was the inside curb at Copse. But it's definitely not her friend now. It is that old chestnut. It can happen. It's kind of weird. Inside curbs on this game tend to be sort of super glue-ish, depending on which one you hit. Safety car is in this lap, though. So if anybody is to find it out to their detriment, we're going to find out in these next 7 tours of Silverstone Circuit.
I'll tell you what, who's going to have an absolutely stunning tyre to restart here. It's Heather. Just coming through Chapel Cove, you can see the background there. Their tyres are going to be well and truly up to temperature here, Carlos. They rejoin the back of the pack, but it is Lee Woodward that controls the launch as they cruise through Stoke Corner at one of the slowest speeds. They've probably taken it all weekend long. And that Papaya McLaren rocking what is the livery I believe they ran here at Silverstone IRL back a few months ago. Just making their way nice and calmly up towards the final few corners of this circuit. When are they going to put their foot down? Let's get that live speed counter up. 70 miles an hour. They go into the penultimate corner up to 80, 90. And there we go. That foot has gone to the floor. And already gaining half a second on speed screen. Rebecca Morel in towards that first corner. Further back, Emma Clay looking to try and make early moves on Willow Keeble. Couldn't quite get it done as Melissa Muller does get the better of Mayuki Panda, and that's the Williams, the lapped car just falling down the order as well.
Absolutely hate to see it, but Melissa Muller absolutely loves the fact that she's now absolutely all over the diffuser of Miss Nutrix. Look at the surplus of grip and traction that she had out of the village complex, almost committing a switchback from Narnia in comparison to the Aston Martin, while one is on the defence, the other one is on all-out attack. Emma Clay squeezes Willow Keeble out of Brooklands, but it's enough. It's the needle in a haystack, and she's easily wormed her way through into P5. Now, the rest of the grid awaits. Lee Woodward has nearly a second on Rebecca Morel, looking to escape immediately. And Emma Clay, well, her progress up the field has only just begun.
F1 Addict has corrected me in chat. It was 9 laps to go. I did realise my error of my ways as I said it, but alas, I was letting Carl speak as I tend to usually do. But you're absolutely right. I cannot do maths. I'm a speaky person, not a maths person. We all move forward as we get ready to see this race out, and everybody just starting to fall into their flow here. Melissa Muller further back is almost alongside my Miss Nutrix in towards Stoke Corner, looking to try and go around the outside on the harder compounded tyres, but pretty much nose to gearbox here. Are we going to see a late dive by Muller as the traction zone out of this corner is going to be all but crucial?
A double switchback maybe. There's once. No, Oz for the outside line at the last corner of Abbey. Just enough momentum. Nearly a plane crash out of the final corner. Extremely well held by Melissa Muller. Now side by side through turn number 1 again. A side pod shoulder barge between the two of them as Catherine Thielking gets through into P3, past Catherine Ormerod. Melissa Muller commits to an absolutely superlative showcase of overtaking at Village. Up to P7 she goes.
Get to this moment in the race and I have absolutely no idea which battle you want to try and watch because they're happening quite literally up and down the field. So many drivers separated by the barest of margins. A 10th here, 2 tenths here, 3 tenths there. And it quite literally chops and changes every single corner. But keep an eye on Emma Clay on the run down towards Copse Corner. Now has a good run on Catherine Ormerod as Heather gets past Jen Chowski further back. And that's just they head on towards the old pit straight. The Aston Martin though looking to try and regain the position from which they once started.
So they are through Maggots and Beckett's, out of Chapel, onto the hangar straight, and now it is reticule locked and eyes firmly facing P4 on the road for Emma Clay. P3 in the championship looking to reduce that loss deficit that they, well, could have at this race by as much as possible. They've already gained 1 place, plenty of pickings to also be had as through the final complex of corners goes Emma Clay. Catherine Ormerod almost out of DRS. Make that out of DRS for P4. And if they don't stay there, provided they don't, although burning the battery, Emma Clay is hoping for an easy avenue up into the top 4 of this race.
You're absolutely right. You can see here just how much she's been charging the battery over the course of this last lap or so, trying to maybe just wait and pounce here as Ormerod now out of DRS almost certainly from Thielking in front by the bearers. They just hold it because, of course, that detection point is as you head through the second corner. So the Mercedes being spared on its life one more time over 1 more lap as we enter with now 7 laps to go. Everybody at home, you're welcome. I've got the count right this time. But Emma Clay will be counting those down in her head, limiting the opportunity she has to try and pounce on Ormerod in front.
Yeah, Catherine Ormerod's going to have a little bit of a surplus of grip still compared to Theo King in front. That's why she's able to hold that DRS. But her tyres, a few laps older than Emma Clay, so she can only hold that DRS for so long and only really hold before that first cliff hits. Then that's when Emma Clay can be recoiled and ready to strike. The top three all line astern. 1, 2, and 3 separated by almost equidistant amounts as Theo King looks to pile on the pressure on Rebecca Morel. Emma Clay is piling on the pressure on Catherine Ormerod, who is hanging on just to the barest of margins of DRS, but it's enough to keep Emma Clay away and repel the offensive the Aston Martin is putting on. Just loses DRS briefly, but is gathering momentum for that final part. Now Ormerod's out of DRS. Emma Clay might just have the opportunity she's been waiting for.
You're absolutely right. This is that opportunity that could come a-calling for the Aston Martin car. I think, as you rightly said, Catherine Ormerod now out of DRS from Catherine. Theo King just in front. We'll wait to see confirmation, as surely that rear wing does not open for the fresh Mercedes full-time driver, and it doesn't. That rear wing remains closed for Ormerod. Clay has now gained half a second down the run up towards Luffield and Brooklands corner. One more lap, Carl, and I think this could be a very, well, I don't want to say a very elementary move for Clay, but I think it's heading that way.
Certainly should be. Indeed, the dirty air will play its part in favour of the Silver Arrows car up ahead. But Emma Clay, with that surplus of grip, is able to just super glue herself to the diffuser of the car ahead. Hardly lose any time through Cobb's corner. Now has to recharge that battery, though. Below 50% on that Aston Martin, but with no DRS assistance, with no extra slicing and dicing of fresh air ahead. For the fourth place person at the moment, Emma Clay can just burn the battery, use the DRS to the advantage, and dive on down the inside for P4 on the road. That is 2 overtakes to the good. Now, could it possibly be a podium for the Aston Martin driver?
I think she'll be hoping and praying in that cockpit that the opportunity does arise. Catherine Theo King still stood in third. Rebecca Morel, 5-time pole sitter, I may not have said it enough for everybody at home, stands in second with Lee Woodward, looking to go for 3 victories here in the W1 Sim Series. Of course, 1 victory has gone to Emma Clay, 2 to Sharkstorm so far, and another win as well for other drivers in and amongst this field over the 4 rounds we've had. Are we going to have a new winner here tonight, Carl, or are we going to see a repeat of a race previously won?
Well, provided they keep the gap where it is, Lee Woodward looks imperious at the moment once again. It's as soon as they get the driver behind out of DRS, they are in complete control. A couple of attempts gained by Rebecca Morel, though, out of Brooklands and Luffield as soon as I open my big mouth. So who knows? Maybe it could be a new winner on the block. It still remains extremely equidistant between 1, 2, 3 and now 4 on the road. If anything, it's Catherine Ormerod that is just gaining another surplus of strength once again in this race. It's on the hard compound tyres, remember. That's the tyre wear in question, 33%. Where's Emma Clay, of course, on that softer compound, but what about that crossover? What is their tyre wear looking like? The answer is, it's worse than what Ormerod has to deal with, so it's imperative they got the move done when they did. However, now the momentum will shift. It's a vicious pendulum, but it's back in the Mercedes driver's corner.
It absolutely is. Mercedes-powered unit, of course, not only in 5th, 4th and 1st place. The opportunity to win this race comes down to the final 4 laps of racing. It's such a close battle between all of our drivers so far, and I quite possibly think anyone within that top 6 still has an opportunity to try and win here. And we see Heather gets past Annie Crevice just behind the Williams. That is going to be Martine Smith, the lapped Williams, trying to recoup places, hand over fist as they head in towards the final complex of corners. But as you said, Carl, everybody can sit tight at the moment knowing they're going to score points as it currently finishes.
Indeed, but the question now is, of course, how many points are they willing to try and score? All the gaps have sort of spread out. There's Jessica Bourne, Miss Nutrix, fighting for P8 on the road. Catherine Ormerod with those hard compound tyres now regaining, in fact more than regaining the advantage. She's biting at the heels of the Aston Martin ahead. Suddenly, after all of the talk and the hype we put on those medium tyres, suddenly the hards come into play with their extra durability and the fact that they're pretty much broken everywhere. That is the advantage that the Mercedes driver holds. The gap remains practically stagnant at 1.6 seconds. Rebecca Morel just does not have an answer, and that fairy tale could well be coming into fruition for Lee Woodward in front.
Certainly could do indeed, unless Rebecca Morel, as you said, is able to pull a rabbit out of a hat like she's done so many times before in qualifying, where race pace seems to be, well, a bit of a crutch for her over the races gone by, with no assurances and no doubt that she will win a race at some point here in the W1 Sim Series. I think that hope and that ambition is quite possibly falling at the hip here today for Rebecca Morel. Still 1.7 seconds off the back of Lee Woodward, looking to go for not one, not two, but 3 victories so far over the first 5 rounds. Would join the likes of Clay and, of course, Willow Keeble in that winners club. So far, if anybody else is able to try and take top spot here today, it's still anybody's game. Let us know, though, in the live chat as we head on to the last 2.5 so laps of racing, who you think is taking home the victory here at the old grey of motorsport.
Indeed, Lee Woodward looks signed, sealed and delivered for that particular front page and back page news here at the British Grand Prix. You never know, one small slip up, whether that's track limits, whether that's a mistake of their own volition, that could all switch hands very quickly indeed. Meanwhile, we're hearing cheers for Heather because the dogfight between her and Annie Crevis is still at fever pitch. They're still going at it as there's a yellow flag. The Williams driver having a bit of a problem out of the village complex, but they're still going. They're still carrying on. Happy days. Heather and Annie Crevis, though, still going at it, and Annie almost pushing Heather towards Cobb's Corner. These two have been gorilla glued to each other pretty much the entire race, barring that safety car period. And once again, they're going to be putting on a show-stopping performance in these last few tours.
They absolutely will. 2 tours to go then of the Silverstone circuit for all of our drivers as Lee Woodward crosses the line on towards lap 25 of 26. Rebecca Morel starting to make inroads here, Carl. Only a couple of tenths or so, but it could add up if they try to go for one last hurrah over the final 2 laps of racing. It's Catherine Thielking that looks to possibly try and get a podium here this afternoon, and Emma Clay quite possibly out of the clutches after battling so hard and so thoroughly with Catherine Omerod for 4th and 5th place, now allowing Willow Keeble, of course the race winner a couple of weeks ago in Bahrain, to catch back up to this pack and look for a 4th place finish, and she's in 6th place at the moment after qualifying down in 7th.
Pressure being piled on. Pressure makes diamonds, they say. Emma Clay will certainly be hoping that there is a little bit of a glint and a glimmer throughout the context of this race. 3 tenths Rebecca Morel has gained on this lap. It just might be too little too late again. She'll be hoping, nay, praying to every deity for a mistake from the race leader, but they have looked imperious all the way through. Just over 1 tour to go, but look at the tyre wear, 65% on the front left. Lee Woodward has been pushing like mad. They want this British Grand Prix win. They have been desiring this British Grand Prix win for the longest time. With just 1 tour to go, it could all come true.
It certainly could do. As we said earlier, they said they'd trade the championship win for a win here at Silverstone in the W1 Sim Series, and the opportunity for that today is starting to come into fruition. With 1 more tour to go here at Silverstone, they will hear the crowd erupting in applause and praise after what has been a fantastic drive so far, but they've still got a number of corners so far to get back home, to get back to the pits, and meanwhile, all of the other battles still happening out on track here.
Catherine Ormerod with DRS. 1 last hurrah on this lap to try and prize away P4. The ball is in her court now. She's got the advantage on the tyres. Gap now at the front. Back up to over 1.5 seconds. Lee Woodward is doing enough as Annie Crevis goes down the inside at turn number 1. No contact. They still remain side by side. I believe there was no contact anyway. Heather regains it though, but the DRS will lend itself to the Alpine, who goes wide at the first part of Village. Looks to set up the exit at the second part. Jessica Ball out of DRS from Miss Nutrix, but the fabulous Fairy Tale, the home of Formula 1, the birthplace of the motorsport, adorned with iconic names. We've never had a 3-time winner in W1 Sim Series. Tonight, that changes.
It absolutely does. Just 2 more corners to go for Lee Woodward. The crowd will erupt here for the home hero as they come through the final corner. They said there was a dream to win here at Silverstone, and a dream can come true for Lee Woodward, who will stand at top of that podium after winning the British Grand Prix. Rebecca Morel finishes second with Thielking in third.
Well, well, well. It's a hat trick for Lee Woodward in W1 Sim Series. 3 wins out of 5 races. What a start to life. In this series, it has been. Their teammate Miyuki Panda is going to round out the top 10. And Heather is going to get more points on the board. Crucially, P11, it's yet more improvements in the Mercedes drivers' camp. And after a race-long dogfight, essentially, with Annie Crevice, it is all shines and sparkles for the Silver Arrows driver. It's more points on the board. It's P11.
A season's best on a Sunday best here at Silverstone as Jess Ball retires early, so just add 1 to everybody's position from here on out. Jenchowski up from 18th on the grid to finish, I believe, 13th at the end when all is said and done here, Carl. There's been lots of drivers that have impressed, almost certainly, and those drivers that did make it to the end, one that they will be very, very happy with. But Lee Woodward, what a drive, what a professional drive from start to finish. Couldn't quite get it in qualifying, but I'll tell you what, they have deserved that win here today.
Just a whisker away on Saturday. It wasn't anything like that on Sunday. They were clear of the competition in the end. It was never a dull moment, but Lee Woodward hardly broke a sweat once they got Rebecca Morel out of the RS. Let the champagne flow. Let the celebrations commence. They've done it. The fabulous fairy tale at the British Grand Prix and the awards are dominated by Lee Woodward and also Miss Nutrix, who is our cleanest driver for today. Excellent work by those two. But our final classification, ladies and gentlemen, and well, it's the hometown hero. Lee Woodward wins the British Grand Prix with Speed Queen in P2. First podium, I believe, of the season. Catherine Thielking in P3 with Emma Clay, Catherine Ormerod, Willow Keeble, Melissa Muller, Miss Nutrix, Miyuki Panda, and Heather. But we do have to remember Jessica Ball was sandwiched, I believe, behind Miss Nutrix. So in 12th place, therefore, was Annie Crevice with 13th Jenchowski. And it was both the Williams cars, Charlotte Perkins, Carlotta Marchi, and Curious Fire, rounding out our classification here at the British Grand Prix.
It absolutely was, and what a way to sign off the first half of the season. There we've had it, folks. 5 rounds and 5 still to go. What an opening, and if you have missed out, don't forget the sign-ups, as George alluded to earlier, are reopening tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock UK time. You do not want to miss that if you want to get yourself involved. But Carl, the top 3, Woodward, Morel, Thielking, thorough deserving drivers. All of them, very interestingly, opted for the 1-stop here today. All of them went on the hard tyres to start for 14 laps. All of them went on medium tyres under that safety car.
Anyone could argue it would have been interesting to see a race without the safety car to see where they would have stacked up. But equally, create your own luck. And they started on the hard tyres. They were bold enough to go for the alternate strategy. And it paid off in spades for them. So credit where credit is due in their department. But, I mean, he Woodward. 3 wins now. 3 wins out of 5. Here's our first. They are our first 3-time winner in W1 Sim Series. Absolutely incredible.
It absolutely is. Of course, we've had one driver take 5 pole positions, one driver take 3 wins. Not necessarily in a row, though. That award and that accolade are still up for grabs. Should we see someone do it in the latter half of the season? But I can confirm we might be waiting on a couple of other drivers to hop in for an interview here, but we have got the wonderful Lee Woodward in. Nice and early for a chat. So let's have a see at how the race went from their point of view. Lee, welcome in. You said earlier in the week that it would be a dream come true to win at Silverstone. You'd trade the championship for it. A dream came true today, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Really happy with that. I mean, qualifying, it was I think 0.03 off pole, but I'm glad I started on the right hand side to get that launch.
Yeah, we heard I think was it again Rio Harris that came in right at the start of the race and said for the last however many times it's been won from second place in a real IRL Grand Prix, so it seemed to be the favoured starting position. Was there maybe a little bit of, I don't want to say negativity coming over from qualifying where you couldn't get pole, but was there a little bit of undue confidence knowing you were starting on the front row nonetheless?
There was a lot of confidence coming into that. I wanted pole, but I kind of knew that. I mean, everyone knows I love my favourite driver's Lando, and he's not got pole at British Grand Prix yet. So I thought, well, he's won it, so I might as well try and do the same.
Absolutely. And obviously, qualifying so far, I think it is fair to say, has been dominated by Rebecca Morel. We're looking ahead to maybe the final 5 rounds of the season. Are you hoping to try and dismantle that championship charge?
I mean, I do want to get a pole position, but I think so far I've not got a pole position, but I'm able to win a race, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Carl, the floor is yours.
Good. A hat trick of wins. Congratulations. That must feel good, I must say. But talk about strategy quickly, because of course you went for the hard tyres in the end at the start of that race. Paid off in spades. Was there ever any particular debate on which tyre to start on, whether that be mediums or hards today?
I knew I was going to start on hards, but I pushed a little bit too much on the formation lap. So when I'd been practicing, I'd not been practicing with formation lap. So I'd sort of miscounted how many laps I could do on them. So when the safety car came out, I was so happy.
And looking forwards, what is round number? We're over halfway. My God.
Yeah.
Looking forwards to round number 6, we head off to the Belgian Grand Prix. Thoughts and feelings? Do you think you can make wins this season?
I might as well try. I don't know if it'll be at Spa, but I think there's a couple more races coming up that I think I can get another couple wins in.
Yeah, that TK. Confidence.
Confidence is flowing. Confidence is key as well. Lee, it's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you. And again, congratulations on your 3rd race win here in the W1 Sim Series. Long may it continue.
Thanks very much. And just quickly, this one, I know my parents are watching, but this one I want to dedicate it to my amazing partner, Lizzie, who was screaming throughout that entire race and has been losing their minds throughout that entire thing.
You know what? We absolutely love to see it. Thank you so much, Lee. We'll let you get on with your evening and enjoy the celebrations, because they sound like they've started already.
Yeah, I think we're going out with a couple mates now, so yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Lee Woodward, everybody, race winner from today's British Grand Prix. And Carl, I must admit, this is what you absolutely love to see. Families, friends, spouses, partners supporting them, and that's how it should be, right?
Exactly. I say this time and time again, but the positivity, the atmosphere that Stieg has created, we've only been here for 5 races and the social races before, of course, but the overall camaraderie in the community has been absolutely excellent. It thoroughly warms my heart. It really does. So shout outs to all of you that are watching, and shout outs whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. Your support does not go unnoticed. I mean, it's ridiculous, quite frankly. Massive thank you. You lot are the absolute.
They absolutely are. And I must admit, it's probably one of the nicest Discord servers I think I've ever been in my life. There's a lot of friendliness between the drivers. There's a lot of friendliness in the community as well. And it's one that I think is such a positive atmosphere for not only league racing, but for esports in general, that who knows what can happen over the next 5 rounds, and who knows what will happen for Season 2 as well, because I guarantee this is not stopping at just 1 season. I assure you that. But Carl, it's been a pleasure as always to have you alongside us in this commentary box. Who would have thought at the start of the season if we said we're going to go 5 rounds together? But where can the lovely people at home find you if they want to do so just a little bit more?
Oh, well, I'll tell you where you can't find me, and that is the Arachnid Alcoves of Australia. You can't find me there. But you will find me at where my name lies, Carl Poranic. If you search that up, you will probably find me there. Once again, TK, massive, massive pleasure to be commentating alongside you. Massive pleasure to be commentating for W1. Shout outs to all of you for allowing me back. As always, wow, what a first half to the season we've had. Wouldn't have had it any other way. Where can we find you, TK, on an in?
Well, I tell you where you can't find me. That's the mousetraps of Mongolia. I'm not stuck in those anymore. But I tell you where you can find me on the internet. It's that They Call Me TK. Just down below there. Drop us a follow. Drop Carl a follow. Why not? Drop W1 a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a like and a subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, drop a like. Nope, drop a follow. Got that wrong already. If you're watching on Instagram, TikTok, MySpace, Twitter, I don't know, where else? LinkedIn. Drop us a follow. Why not? We post some good stuff there. It's absolutely fantastic. That chill was better than last week's. We'll take it as a small improvement. Because as we say, Carl, it might be small, but an improvement is an improvement. Until we see you, though, next Thursday for round 6 of the W1 Sim Series. It's been a pleasure to have you watching alongside us. Congratulations once again to our hometown hero, Lee Woodward, for their victory at Silverstone. From all of us here at W1, good night. God bless.